Yikes. I think someone failed to do the homework assignment with what they were protesting for. And no, that was not a Ryan Long video and looks like an actual video coming from the United Kingdom. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of wearechange.org, and there's a lot of absolutely crazy and wild news to get into today, as of course we are on a road that is very tumultuous, to say the least, as there's a bigger conflict brewing right now in the Middle East, as domestically things here inside of the United States are getting more confusing with some very mixed signals from the Biden administration. This, as it's almost guaranteed that there's going to be more chaos ahead of us. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media organization. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on TheBestPoliticalShirts.com. And of course, the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast was originally highlighted by Andy Nog on Twitter, that found this video from the UK showing a popular Arab Muslim TikToker who wasn't that pleased from the support he was getting from, the very diverse community that the establishment loves to promote so much. A lot of mixed signals there, to say the least, as the response to this has been absolutely hilarious. And as the streets of the world become more confusing, they're also becoming way more violent, as we keep hearing horror story after horror story of district attorneys that are just excusing and allowing some of the most awful crimes to happen in the streets of America, which now the FBI director, who has been focused on his political opponents and of course concerned parents that show up at PTA meetings, while also of course listing people who support the former president of the United States as extremists, has now come out and is warning about the rise of a potential terror threat here inside of America, as he is saying that there's a big potential for copycat attacks on U.S. soil to what just happened in Israel. This, as it's pretty clear, the priorities of the United States federal government definitely haven't been considerate of legitimate threats, while, of course, there was an open border policy, a total shifting of the resources to focus on political opponents, and larger political speech censorship efforts, which the FBI headed and implemented specific policies that went after and silenced American individuals from being able to express their political ideas on social media. The FBI literally directed multiple resources and agents on this particular cause, and now they are warning us that we are unprepared and that there's a big potential for some big threats coming our way. Gee, I wonder why. And in similar lawfare news, today we're also finding out that Javier Milei, the conservative/anarchist presidential candidate that is leading in the polls of the Argentinian presidential race, has been officially charged by an Argentinian court for making the Argentinian currency drop in value. Like it hasn't been dropping in value already because of the communistic leftist central banking policies that have absolutely destroyed that nation and its money and the savings that some people had in their bank accounts. All of this is happening as political tensions are ramping up to the point where we are becoming more and more divisive and clearly living under a two-tier justice system, as we're finding out that the DOJ just shut down another campaign finance prosecution against Hunter Biden. All of this as the White House cheers on and celebrates George Floyd today, honoring his life and legacy and calling the riots that were, quote, mostly peaceful, according to CNN, and killed 36 amount of individuals, burning down property all throughout the United States, the, quote, largest civil rights movement in our nation's history. Yeah, and with those kind of larger psyopses and propaganda efforts, that's one reason why I launched TheBestPoliticalShirts.com. We just launched a new shirt this week. Anytime I have an autistic spasm, I think of a new idea, I release it. This is one of the newest ones that I had that I think is very telling in our current modern day times. But as you can see, I have a lot of autistic spasms. I have a lot of very different political shirts and ideas that are expressed through clothing that cannot be censored on big tech social media. Again, lots of ideas on social media are being censored because of the FBI and other intelligence agencies that are literally telling the social media companies what people can and cannot say. But when you get a t-shirt and express ideas that we can't even show you here on this platform, there's some shirts that I have that are too spicy for me to even show you here on this particular platform, where you have to go to TheBestPoliticalShirts.com in order to see them. Those ideas you could wear at the local grocery store, at the bank, at your local farmer's market, at your local farm, and you could express political ideas that could never be taken down in real life. A easy, quick, super way of doing lazy forms of activism, expressing yourself, meeting like-minded friends and individuals in your local community. And I cannot express this enough, how important it is for people to take charge of their life, to live in truth, to express themselves, and to be able to not live in fear. And simply getting a t-shirt expressing political ideas is one of the best ways to do that, because it highlights a larger expression of ideas, highlighting how there's way more of us than they are of them. The one way we could all realize that is just by simply wearing a shirt. The one I'm wearing right now is called Real Life Chess, which you could get, again, on TheBestPoliticalShirts.com. The link is down in the description below. Even if you're just bored, even if you don't have any inkling to buy a shirt or tank top or a woman's V-neck, even if you don't have any inkling to do any of that, or get a sweater or get a hat or socks that we have, even if you don't have any inkling of that, it's still going to be very entertaining for you to scroll through and see the ideas that we can't even show you here on this platform. I particularly like the shirt that I'm wearing right now because it definitely speaks to the real time that we're in right now, as I've been left disappointed by many online commentators that clearly have been hijacked by a larger death cult and are calling for more war. I think war is a stupid idea. I think war is perfectly expressed by the ideas on my t-shirt, and having individuals in real life spark up conversation because of the shirt, show support because of it, really does mean a lot. So again, go check out TheBestPoliticalShirts.com. We also have another store that we launched on wearechange.shop, which you can see some of the products here on my particular desk. We have a fourth product that's going to be launching this Tuesday, which I'm very excited about as well. But again, we've been stepping up our game and providing you guys services and products that you can't get anywhere else. I'm really proud of Calm. TakeCalm.com. Again, truly, there's been a lot of crazy things happening with, of course, trying to survive as an independent media organization, and we're going to do everything in our power to stay alive. Our products keep us alive, keep this independent media operation not just going, but growing and expanding. Lots of really fun projects coming your way, all through your support on wearechange.shop and thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Links are in the description below. As of course, we got to move on to our main topic of discussion, and that is the utter upheaval happening right now in the Middle East that is dealing with a lot of chaos, a lot of life loss. As we're getting the news reports that Hamas has announced that they have taken the lives of 9 hostages due to Israel not stopping its airstrikes on the Gaza region where they are located. This, as there's many accusations back and forth between these two larger factions. There's also a lot of disinformation. There's also a lot of propaganda. You don't know who to believe, but the United Nations is actually reporting right now that in the 8 days of this conflict, nearly 700 children, 614 to be exact, have lost their lives to this conflict. Again, these are children specifically that we are talking about, the most innocent in our society. This, as just within the last few hours, Israel launched a strike that did take the lives of UN staff and Reuters journalists. They have disconnected electricity, water, and internet to nearly 2 million people and have bombed a border crossing between Egypt and Gaza that blocked a lot of humanitarian aid from reaching the region, while also telling a hospital in Gaza to immediately evacuate as they were treating a lot of the wounded because of the severe bombing that has been happening in the Gaza region around civilian territories. This, as we're seeing a lot of very strange arguments from the Israeli government trying to justify some of the civilian casualties by talking about how the civilians are involved in this larger conflict unfolding in the region, trying to justify some kind of international law, as clearly the civilian toll here is something that deserves to be talked about in a very honest and critical fashion. Civilians civilians going without water, going without electricity, being cut off from the rest of the world, being denied access to humanitarian aid is something that even a Fox News foreign correspondent, Trey Yingist, has been coming out and speaking out against on Twitter, saying specifically that it's critical that Palestinians have access to food and water in Gaza. This, as even Joel Pollack of Breitbart News came out in a very courageous way, talking about how a lot of his heated rhetoric was due to emotion and how he regrets some of his hyperbolic statements, coming out in a very telling way, where now more and more people are realizing, hey, hurting innocent people because innocent people were hurt here shouldn't be the answer here, as of course this only creates more problems. As it's important to note here that the current Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, is dealing with a very tough situation on his hand, where there is a significant amount of political pressure trying to oust him from political office, as there have even been recent protests against him, especially when it comes to his handling of this entire situation, with a lot of questions even coming out raising concerns about what the Israeli government knew before these attacks by Hamas on military installations and civilians in the region, which now we're finding out the United States and Egypt were warning them about. What will Israel do from here? Well, we are getting reports of individual citizens being targeted for, of course, watching or sharing any kind of Hamas propaganda, as even the President of the United States just had his first phone call with the Palestinian president, according to the Business Standard, offering his support and aid to the people of Gaza, as there are still 15 missing American citizens that are allegedly being held by Hamas now as hostages, as we're even getting reports that there is some backroom deals and conversations right now being held with Iran and the United States trying to get them out. All of this, as the involvement of the United States here definitely raises a lot of concerns from the international community, as a recent report from the Strategic Posture Commission recently released a report detailing how the United States must ready itself for simultaneous war with Russia and China. As of course, it's important to note here that China is strongly allied with Iran and Saudi Arabia, that they recently made a peace deal with, and in my opinion, have led to the current circumstances in the region that we are facing. This, as we're also learning a plan from the U.S. Army to build up a supply of blood for a larger potential conflict between these two major growing empires in the world, as the United States has sent a massive amount of military hardware into the Middle East region, now sending 2 aircraft carrier strike groups, as a lot of people fear that Lebanon, Syria, and Iran might soon be involved in this larger conflict, which could provoke a nuclear war in the region. As we know, Israel has nuclear weapons that it stole the technology from the United States from. All of this as the Iranian president is declaring, if the attack on Gaza continues, that this will, quote, complicate matters and expand the scope of this conflict. This, as we're getting reports that the Syrian military might soon be preparing for a larger offensive against Israel, as Israel has literally been bombing Syria within the last few days, which of course escalates tensions in the region. This, as major airports in Damascus and Aleppo have been hit by Israeli missiles, preventing a lot of planes from Iran getting into the region. This, as it's fair to say that this is definitely escalating tensions between all the nations here, as Israel has already launched attacks on another country. There's also fighting happening between some Hezbollah forces in Lebanon, between Israel, as we have American politicians in the United States here calling for a holy war, with individuals like Lindsey Graham declaring that, quote, we're coming for you, directly speaking at Iran, a country that many neoconservatives have been thirsting to attack for many years now. The larger question that a lot of people have during this entire matter is, what will the United States be doing here, as of course Joe Biden is having to be ushered off of the stage, where he is routinely confused and doesn't know where to walk off from. This is the, quote, commander-in-chief of the U.S. military, who is looking more dazed and confused, as of course many people are saying, this is the guy? This is the guy that's going to lead us during a potential world war, which will involve a lot of different countries and influences and alliances, and that doesn't lead to a very hopeful situation for the rest of the world, as of course Israel just stopped its ground offensive in Gaza, allegedly delayed because of heavy rain and water. This, as a lot of theories are spreading to why this actually happened, as of course it's pretty clear that there's only going to be more escalations from here. And as Julian Assange once famously said, if wars could be started by lies, peace can be started by truth. And that's why I think it's more imperative than ever that we do everything in our power here trying to de-escalate the situation, as of course the ramifications of if it continues to escalate are absolutely grand, preposterous, and insane. That's why it's more important than ever for you to speak out, do your part. If you agreed with what I had to say in this particular video, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more imperative than ever. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you doing that, supporting this independent media organization. And that's why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.